This is the Thou Art That, and anybody else able to follow and be up with the conversation. It's not so much being able to take the topic alone, it's also understanding where I'm starting in the topic. So, Thou Art That should know, but the rest of you are sort of on your own. But the issue comes down to a lot of things and whether we need a metaphysics and whatnot. And there's comical aspects like being told by non dualists why I have to accept that there is a world that is beyond physics. And to me, this is funny because physics is defined as the things we interact with. So those things would be physical if we did interact with them. So I don't understand the sense in which they're put beyond access by people that are saying they have access to them. To me, a non-dualism is a unification. Now, objections to the idea that something exists, that for example, this lighter exists, objections to that, well, maybe it doesn't really exist. All of those objections are based on interpretations of what it means to exist that rely on the externality of this thing. And someone could say, oh, what if it's a dream? What if it's a what if it's a simulation? But if we base our epistemology and our knowledge on the fact that perception happens, what does it mean to exist? It, it means to perceive. I exist. I am defined by the fact that something is perceiving. It may be passively perceiving, it may actively perceive, it may create its own perceptions, but it's perceiving. So if I perceive it, it interacts with me, and suddenly there's not the question of does this lighter exist. If I perceive it, it exists. The question is, what does it exist as? Does it exist entirely as a hallucination? Does it exist as a material object? And part of this comes down to an idea of do we have direct perceptions? And I've been told that we have direct perceptions, we have direct knowledge of memories, of bodily perceptions versus sense perceptions. But I say that the sense perceptions and the bodily perceptions are all qualia, they're fantasia. And the only way that we determine if it's a sense perception or bodily or some other sort of perception is statistically. If I look on the table and I see a lighter, and then I look back and I see nothing, or I see some other shape of similar size there, then I categorize the original perception, as merely a fantasia, a qualia that is hallucinatory. But furthermore, I think that all of our perceptions come back to real or sense perceptions. It's only a matter of how directly are they related. For example, of a unicorn. If you see a unicorn, what is this fantasy? What is this dream? If you close your eyes and imagine one, it's built of horse and a horn, things we have perceived. And I believe no matter how abstract the idea or perception is, that it's traceable to these perceptions. Let's say that a mad scientist puts something in your brain to make you to make it stimulate your brain and make you always hungry. Because isn't hunger a type of a sense perception? You're perceiving that you need nutrients, that you lack nutrients. It's a perception of a chemical situation in your body. You might say, oh, but I can have an eating disorder and have that sensation when it isn't real. But you can have the perception, the visual perception, and it cannot be real. And if somebody puts this in your brain and causes you always to be hungry, you are perceiving something. Your hunger is a perception that there's this thing in your brain. The only reason that it seems like a fantasy, unreal, an illusion, is because of your tendency that you're going to have to misinterpret what it means. To think that you need nutrients rather than that there's something in your brain. And given the information that they put it in there, you might be able to interpret that perception of hunger actually as evidence of something in your brain. Now, I've been told all of these things are direct, and I was used, punch in the nose as is direct. But that is only impactful because of the idea of the pain associated, the gravity of the perceptions. the way in which we're going to tend to interpret those perceptions. Right? If you have no pain centers, then you won't have that. If you have no other senses, you won't even know. It's a horrifying idea, but it shows that they're not immediate. No perceptions are immediate. A memory is immediate. No, we've seen by using, taking pictures and using techniques like this where we can reperceive what was happening. We can see that people are not good witnesses, that their perceptions of events are not direct. And I think this is true of everything, that their memories require interpretation. They're not direct. They're regenerated perceptions, and they're not direct.